There was a reunion of political warlords on the sidelines of a gathering of genuine warriors for the 50th anniversary of the Long Tan battle. On August 18, Vietnam War veterans grouped for a moving open-air ceremony in Canberra, watched by former Prime Minister Tony Abbott and opposition leader Bill Shorten. Before proceedings began, Mr Shorten went over to Mr Abbott to boast he had a better time in the recent City to Surf run. The gap was about 4 minutes and born-again runner Shorten was most chuffed he had bested our most athletic PM. Mr Abbott was impressed, but apparently didn't harp on the fact that on his run he had partnered a blind friend. It was a good-natured exchange and it was not the first private chat between the two. Usually the exchanges have not been about matters which Mr Abbott might describe as hyperpartisan. This odd relationship has highlighted Liberal tensions. Tony Abbott gets on better with Bill Shorten than he does with Malcolm Turnbull, and Bill Shorten gets on better with the Liberal who removed a Labour government than with the Liberal who just barely prevented Labour forming another one. There is a huge, neon-lit irony here, because while Mr Abbott has occasional, convivial encounters with the Labour leader, he is bluntly warning Mr Turnbull not to get too cozy with the Labour opposition. But that is exactly what Mr Turnbull is proposing. We ask Labour to pass savings measures they say they support. Labour wants the government to back policies we have always opposed. Quote, Mr Turnbull will tell Queensland Coalition members today, I urge Bill Shorten, Labour and all the parties to do the same. Meet us in the sensible centre. To act otherwise would badly misread the mood of the vast majority of Australians who want us to work together to secure their future. These are some of the dynamics which will operate when Parliament returns on Tuesday to sit for the first time in 3 months, and Prime Minister Turnbull confronts constant and unfriendly commentary from within and outside the Liberal Party. He will appear vulnerable on several fronts, not least his one-seat margin in the House of Representatives, and Labour can be expected to exploit this. Next week will be mostly about ceremony, with the formal opening of Parliament, and positioning by the major parties and the incredible expanding egos of such newcomers as Pauline Hanson and Darren Hinch. For the rest of the year a packed travel schedule will occupy much of the Prime Minister's energies, with expected visits to China, Laos, Peru and the United States, having sounded alarms over the urgent need to pass a budget which has sat untended since May 3. Mr Turnbull will for a significant time be an absent alarmist. Tony Abbott, however, has indicated he will fill any void. On Friday he used a speech aimed at the Liberal right wing, the base of the party, which remains dubious about Mr Turnbull. Mr Abbott compared his government with the current one. A government with a solid record of achievement has just had its majority slashed. He reminded anti-Turnbull troops, it was a government in office, not in power, and he called for a tough budget aimed at savings to fund tax cuts. Combining the two themes, he said, with a difficult parliament and a budget in peril, the first challenge for the next term will be to avoid new recurrent spending outside of national security. No new spending should be considered unless it will clearly boost economic growth. That could mean economic infrastructure, high-quality research and cost-effective new drugs. But not extra spending that's mostly political positioning. Think Budget 2014. In a lecture which even in transcript has a sneering tone, Mr Abbott said he was sure the Prime Minister would do or not do a stack of things. He would promote coal, demote renewable energy, combat environmentalists' lawfare, refuse to bail out failing businesses, encourage nuclear energy. Significantly, there was also a word from Mr Abbott's political sponsors. He said, with a further hit of threat, the rise of populist protest parties here, Brexit, and the troubles of establishment candidates in the US suggest that, as in Menzies' day, there are lots of people who feel forgotten but would rally to strong and effective leadership. The speech will have delighted the base and the Labour Party. News.com. Our privacy policy includes important information about our collection, use and disclosure of your personal information, including to provide you with targeted content and advertising based on your online activities. It explains that if you do not provide us with information we have requested from you, we may not be able to provide you with the goods and services you require. It also explains how you can access or seek correction of your personal information, how you can complain about a breach of the Australian privacy principles and how we will deal with a complaint of that nature.